Welcome to the 2350 Effect.
Happy Sunday, and welcome to the 2350 Effect. I'm your co-host, collaborator of the 2350 Effect, 2350 Network, Damian Kinsey, and I'm joined as always by Dr. Tanya Farron. Dr. Farron, say a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tanya Farron. Happy to be here tonight. I am the owner of Creative Living Ideas and co-host to this fun Sunday evening event with Damian Kinsey, as well as partnerships with Damian with the 2350 Network, as well as the Virtual Wellness Experience and the Work-Life Balance Summit. So lots of great projects that we have to share with you guys, as well as this really fun evening. So we're excited that you were able to join us and happy to be here.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. And I love when I see the intro. It kind of lets me know how much work we've put in and how many things we've done in the past year and a half, 2 years. Yeah, thank you, Nick, for joining us. Whoever's out there, people on YouTube, let us know where you're joining us from. Those people on LinkedIn, let us know where you're joining us from. And also, Dr. Farron, are you streaming from Facebook this
Yes.
time?
No, just YouTube and LinkedIn. Just YouTube
and LinkedIn.
Yes.
Sorry, Facebook people. We'll be back next time. So continue to reach out and join us and let us know where you're from. We have a great conversation and discussion tonight. Are you putting too much pressure on yourself? Dr. Farron, I know a lot of people who do New Year's resolutions. When I was young, I kind of did it for like 1 or 2 years. Stopped doing it. Are you a New Year's resolution type person?
I am, in a sense. I always like to take a look, and we'll get into this a little bit more, I'm sure, some more details, but I always like to take time to pause and think about, how did this year go? What did I accomplish professionally, personally? What are some things that I want to change in my life in the next year? And really think about more creating of like vision boards rather than goal setting necessarily, or New Year's resolutions, I should say.
Okay.
Instead of, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you? So you said you're not really a big New Year's resolution person.
No, I'm not really a big New Year's resolution type person, but I do set goals. And speaking of goals, so now we always start with the laugh or call or text. We're gonna kind of switch it up. What is one of those goals that you have done going into the new year and kind of focused on that you want to discuss? Like, it could be something that you really you thought about it, you set it as a goal for upcoming year and you accomplished it, or it was something you set and you were really into it and then you said, I'm gonna move on from that. I'll give you mine first. I'll give you one.
Okay.
So I set a goal one year to be more focused on my health and wellness, and I started drinking more water, doing more walks, and I felt really good about myself. Energy wise, I had so much energy. So that was a very good switch in the change. And I started drinking more and more water. It was kind of a struggle in first because it was like water is no flavor. And then I just love water. And I noticed that I'm less thirsty when I drink water.
Yes.
That
Yes.
was one. And then another thing that I was like, I'm gonna go to the gym, and I'm gonna go like every day. And I did do it for like 6-7 months, and then I went away on vacation. Went to Vegas. The buffet hit me, and then everything changed. So I went about 7 straight good months, but I felt good about myself. Mind you, the water and the walking, those were different years. So
Sure.
it was, I did the walking in the water. That was a separate time, and I still keep up with the water, and I like the walking part. And the workout part, I think I was doing 6 days a week, twice on Monday and whatnot. But it was fun, but it wasn't sustainable because the Vegas buffet got to me.
Yes, yes. It's hard sometimes, right? When you break that habit or that routine, that makes it a bit challenging. And I would say for me, like I said, I'm not a big New Year's resolution. I don't make a lot of resolutions like that necessarily, but I will think that this is the year that I would like to this is the year I would like to this. And one of the reasons I don't like the resolutions is because everybody else is out there making them too. And so you'll notice, right? Health and fitness is always at the top of people's lists. And whenever I did that, and I would say, something like, I'm going to go to the gym every day, and you go to the gym in January and it is packed. You can't find the machines, you can't get on the equipment, it's super crowded. And when I go to the gym, I want to just focus and be at the gym. I don't really want to be waiting around or trying to figure out how to change my routine, things like that. And so then you notice that by the end of February, it has just trickled out because people have quit. They have given up. This is not sustainable for their life to go 5 days in a row or, like you were saying, however many times you were going. So finding a sustainable way to make it work for you, I think is most important. But that's probably one that I did, a long time ago where maybe it really wasn't a good idea for me to make that as my resolution. And so now I do things more, I look at my life and reflect professionally, personally, socially. And I think about what are some of the things that I want my life to look like and how do I want to go about having that happen. And with that being said, one of the things that I also had plans for a few years ago was the parenting conversations that I was hosting, the parenting sessions I was hosting, and Damien and Dr. Sheila, and we had another couple of panel members that we worked together with. And you know what? It just was too much. And it was just something that I felt like I had to just back off of. I didn't have the time to really give it what it needed. And so had to step back from it a little bit. Still on the burner, back simmering, but just having to step away from it a little bit. Yeah.
I like that you felt like it was too much and you kind of took a break and a pause from it, but you haven't abandoned it completely. So I love the fact that you're understanding on where your limitations and your spaces and at the point in time, it doesn't mean it doesn't change, because a lot of times as people, we put too much pressure on ourselves.
Right.
We're competing against these fantasies. We're competing against other individuals. And we're sometimes competing against ourselves to the point where we're not pouring into ourselves the right way, and we're creating unhealthy expectations.
Mm-hmm.
We created the virtual wellness experience for opportunities for people to be able to not put pressure on themselves and have the overall level arching of wellness. And I just want to kind of shift gears and talk about that a little bit before we get fully into the topic.
Mhm.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the virtual wellness experience?
Yeah. You can go to Creative Living Ideas website, and I believe this is in the comment section on LinkedIn. If you can't find it, reach out to me or Damien. We're happy to give you the link to it. You can check it out. It is March 20th and 21st, 2026. And, we are going to be we are still looking for presenters. You can still purchase tickets right now. The early bird special, you get 2 days for $75. So it is a great deal right now. I believe we've set that through January 20th, Damien. I think that's the date we had said, something along that line. So come in and check that out. As I said, we are looking for presenters. So if you're interested in being a presenter, jump on Creative Living Ideas website, click on that, click to apply, and send us this form that you can fill out there. Also, if you just want to be a sponsor for the event, we would love to have you do that. So there's options in there for you as a sponsor. There's different sponsorship levels for you, and you get some great rewards and things like that with it, as well as if you want to be a vendor for the event. So if you have a product that you're interested in sharing that goes along with our wellness theme, fill that out as well. You can check out some testimonials from the past. And then I need to drop in our YouTube channel so you can see that the things that we do with our presenters, and you can learn a little bit more about past events with us. So check it out, creativelivingideas.com.
Yes. Thank you so much. Check that out. And the link is in the chat. It's scrolling across the screen. And go check it out. Get some more information about the virtual wellness experience. March will be here really soon because January is right around the corner.
It is.
All right.
It really is.
So, besides, a lot of times people put a lot of pressure on themselves with fitness, going to the gym, all types of stuff. What are some of the things that stick out to you that people put pressure on themselves with that, or you've put pressure on yourself with? And while you're thinking about that, want me to go first?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I think people put a lot of pressure on themselves, and this is one. If you could relate in the replay, on the chat, in the comments, let me know. People put a lot of pressure on themselves to buy like items like cars and go on vacation. You can easily get yourself put in a situation in debt where you're trying to buy a new car when you have a functioning vehicle, or you're doing last minute dashes to get vacation, and you're overspending to go on a vacation or a family reunion. What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, I do agree. And those are good. Those are two good points, to bring up. People do, purchase some big items sometimes, and they're not really ready for that, or planning vacations that maybe, are outside of their budget. But this is the one thing that I want to say. I want to say about this and any other type of, goal setting or things like that you're doing at the beginning of the year, is to really plan it out. Like, really think about that. So say, for example, you're preparing to go on a vacation. I'm going to use Disney because there's so many families that love going to Disney, and I hear it's super expensive. I've never been to Disney World, y'all. I grew up in California, so I went to Disneyland, never been to Disney World. Heard it's could be $10,000 for a family to go to Disney if they wanted to do all the things, right? So how does a regular person go and save all of that kind of money? So think about that. When you're planning those trips, think about how are you going to every month measure and put aside and save up for something like that and make a plan for that. So I think those are things that are good to do at the beginning of the year. Like, to me, I feel like those are good plans to put in place at the beginning of the year. So maybe you say, well, we won't have the money for that until next year, or maybe you'll have it in 6 months, just depending on your financial status. And so, I think having a goal like that is good, but yet being prepared for it, not just going out on a whim for that.
That is definitely a good one. I've been to Disney 3 times. I've been as recently as 2 years ago. It's on my page on the top. Yeah. And it was a very fun trip. It's extremely expensive for me as an adult.
Yeah.
Imagine if I had like 5 or 6 kids or 3 kids and a big family and a dog, it would be even more expensive. So that's a very good point. In each instance, while I went as a teenager with my family, so that wasn't on my pockets. And
Right.
as an adult, I was in both situations financially prepared for it and safe to go.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think too, and I'm going back to this, I think people put a lot of pressure on
you should.
themselves. What?
And sorry to say, you should go. You will enjoy it.
I know. I really do need to go. I think I really will enjoy it. I agree with you. You've gotten to know me quite well. I think I probably have the energy level that would enjoy something like that. But I will do that one day. I do think that for a lot of people, they put a lot of pressure on themselves for health and wellness goals at the beginning of the year, weight loss goals, fitness goals, exercise goals, and they want to just jump in and say, I'm going to have this done by the end of January, the end of February. I'm going to lose 30 pounds. I'm going to this, I'm going to that. Really think about the amount of time it actually takes to do that. I am a woman in my 50s. I can tell you it has taken me 7 months to lose 20 pounds, and I have worked at it every single day. And so, taking time and not really putting a big timeline on things for yourself is important to do. But I think people get disappointed when they don't get the results that they want immediately when they're setting these resolutions. And that's putting a lot of pressure on themselves. And we're going to go into kind of the feelings and the emotions that are behind that pressure. So
That's a good one too. Also, happy birthday, Leslie Flowers.
yes, happy
If you're
birthday.
out there, those people shouting Leslie Flowers out, happy birthday. Amazing person and individual and a great supporter of the 2350 Effect, 2050 350 Network, Virtual Wellness Summit, and the Work-Life Balance, Professional Work-Life Balance Summit as well. I think about that too. Like a lot of times, even for like you talked about weight loss, even for me, um, it doesn't matter what the goal is or how many pounds it is. The first bundle of pounds are so easy for me to lose.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like last 2 to 5 that is just so hard. It just does not matter, and it'll go close to it and then back, and
Yep.
then it doesn't matter what the regimen is or whatever. It's a lot of it is like, okay, it'll go back up, and then some of it is about I have to get to the point where I have to change my workout, my eating, my approach, and get it to that last 2 to 5 pounds is like a lot of pressure. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, the goal, and then I reflect and think about it as like, I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for the number.
And that is a
Then the
beautiful
pressure goes
statement.
off.
Right. And that's a beautiful statement. And a lot of times there's life events that we think, oh, our daughter is getting married. We need to lose 30 pounds by this point. I'm going on this vacation. I'm going to be in a swimming suit. I need to lose this weight for this point. And while those are things that really are probably happening, when we start putting that pressure on ourselves, then we start raising our cortisol and we raise our anxiety and our own stress. And then maybe you're a stress eater or, you're not helping yourself any when you're setting those types of, expectations on yourself, and it's becoming a little bit more challenging for you when you're doing that. And so that kind of puts us into this, this part of the conversation. Like, what are some signs that you notice when you're putting too much pressure on yourself for the upcoming year? And so I talked about that just a minute ago about the parenting events that I was hosting. There were some parenting workshops with panels of people, and I was really literally feeling incredibly stressed, incredibly underprepared. It wasn't being presented in the way that I really had envisioned it being done. I was agitated with myself, frustrated with myself. And at that point, I noticed that I was putting too much pressure on myself, and that it is okay to say, I'm just going to stop for now. It's okay. What are some signs that you think you notice, or you think other people notice, Damien, when they're putting too much pressure on themselves?
So I decided to Google it, just to make sure. Fatigue is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
People getting stuck. This is a good one. Perfection.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're chasing perfection. We start overly criticizing ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and becoming that inner critic. We tend to start making a lot of mistakes that we wouldn't usually make. Irritability, anxiety, trouble sleeping, negative self-talk starts coming into place, starting to feel overwhelmed, and you can even have fear of failure and headaches.
That's a lot. That is a lot. And those of you that are listening in the audience, thank you, first of all, for being here. Thank you, Annie and Gregory and Nicole and Linda. I appreciate you so much for being here. And Lisa Fevick, thanks for joining us. But what are some things that you're feeling also, when you put too much pressure on yourself? But, definitely fatigue is one thing. Like, you're exhausted when you're putting too much pressure on yourself. Right. And I think those were great headaches. People start getting those stress headaches. Yes. And Nick, I love that. You're putting too much pressure on yourself when you're zoning out and can't be present. Oh, that is perfect. And here's the thing, and this was hard for some people. Like, it took me a while to realize this, but my energy level and other people's energy levels are not the same. Theirs may be higher than mine may be higher than somebody else's, so for one person to be fatigued from something, another person's is not. And so we like to talk a lot about our social batteries, right? Well, we have different batteries, right? Our work battery, our home battery, things like that. And so, when you notice that your battery's draining down, you're probably putting too much pressure on yourself.
Yes. The pressure to the point where it takes forever to fall asleep is definitely on one that takes place. I have a friend who, when they get stressed, their nose bleeds.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. That at least they've recognized that, and I think that's a big piece too, is taking that moment to think about that. Like, why am I feeling this way? Those of you who have listened to me talk often, you've heard me say things like, I know when I am stressed or I am to my limit when my kitchen counter is a disaster. It's got mail on it. It's got this, it's got receipts, it's got that, whatever on it. And I feel like my hair is on fire. Now, my hair is not literally on fire, but I just feel this just intensity, around me. And it's just, the countertop is kind of the visual of the way that things are just kind of mounting and spilling out. And I know at that point, time to take a pause. Like, you have overdone it, girl.
Yeah. That's good to know those warning signs of what goes on with your body and yourself. And when you're getting to the point where you're putting too much pressure on yourself and you start over obsessing about things. So
why do you think people put so much pressure on themselves? Those of you in the audience, why do you think people put so much pressure on themselves to set New Year's resolutions or to set goals? Do you think there's a social pressure? Do you think there's an internal pressure?
I can't even recall when New Year's resolutions started, It was just that thing that was just always there. What's your New Year's resolution? I remember someone asking me at one of my aunts. My aunt always does like New Year's Day stuff. We always go to our house and asking what's the New Year's resolution. And I think it's just something that people just always ask you. You go to work, they ask you what your New Year's resolution is. It's a conversation piece. I think we've gotten caught up so much that it's become our norm, but it's not really normal because you'll see on the news, they'll talk about, how gym prices are going up the first half of the year and everybody's in the gym, like you said. And then by March, it's back to normal. So I think those things are so important to recognize.
I wanted to pause for a minute because I wanted to give everybody a bit of an example, because I think that there's some fun in it. There's some fun in having that type of, conversation about resolutions. So like your aunt having, this day that she's celebrating, and, having the conversation of what your resolution is and stuff like that. And so I think that there's a bit of fun in it as well. But this is what I want to share with everyone. And maybe I'm a little early in our conversation. We can bring it back again, but this is literally my vision board. Okay. And this is a piece of paper that is, it is right in front of my desk here. So I look at it, and I've gone through and I've clipped out some different things, and I'll show you some things on here. So like the center is my family. I just put my family in the center because this is kind of like my well wishes of my family. Like I just want my family to be healthy, and that's kind of my well wish. I want happiness in my life. I love to read. I did this before we actually purchased our home in Florida. And ironically, this home looks very similar to the home that we purchased there. I'm a goal setter, so I always like types of promotions and things like that. And then again, I want to eat healthy. I want to play golf, work out, practice yoga, do some remodeling in my home. These are some things that I want. And so this is how I do this. I want my, healthy blood levels, things like that. And so this is something that I do at the beginning of the year. I always like to reflect. So probably next week, I'll spend some time just reflecting on what do I want different next year? And I look at that, and I might change my vision board. Now this stayed the same last year. I went back and I reflected it, and y'all, my goals stayed the same. The things that I wanted in life were still the same. Have I achieved all of these? No. This girl's probably got a much better handicap playing golf than I do, but it's a goal.
I like that. I did a vision board 2 years ago. I really focused in on it and was able to meet those goals. I was kind of happy about it because it was the first time I ever did one.
Yeah.
And people will always like talk about vision boards, and I'd be like, but I did it, and I felt good about it, proud of it. The goal was to do it on New Year's Eve, and I did it on New Year's Eve for New Year's Day, and it was kind of like my goal and task for the year. Reason I had that, Linda was talking about stress eating. People tend to stress eating. She says she loses her appetite. She tends to feel overwhelmed and needs a pause. So I think that's good that those things that are creating that space in place where those warning signs, Linda, as well. And I think for you, it is great that you created the board, and you created your vision sheet, and you put it together, and you used it for 2 years. It wasn't like, I'm going to put in this time crunch. I didn't get it done for this time. It's a failure. You had 2 years. You adjusted some things. You put the home that you wanted, felt the home similar, and it probably happened organically too.
Correct. It really did. And that is something that, and some things aren't going to change, right? And that's something I think we think about, like as I age, I've always been a pretty healthy eater, but as I age, I want to continue that, right? I want to continue in good health and longevity in my life. And so that's probably never going to go away. I'm always going to strive to improve and do better. So thank you, Annie, for commenting about your kitchen countertops. I knew we were kindred spirits here. That I obsess about getting that kitchen cleaned as well. And Nick is agreeing also. Yes. And Linda, I know there are times where I stress eat, and there are times where I'm so stressed I cannot eat. And so I know that, and that is important for people to understand. So yeah. But yeah, I love the vision board. That is a definite thing of mine that I will come back into and talk a little bit more about as we get there. So this is a great question, and something to think about is how can people, set goals that are ambitious and achievable, right? And so, you may set a goal for something in your career or professionally, but you may literally need to take courses or skills, gain skills or certifications in order to meet that goal. So maybe your long range goal, like I said, maybe this golf gal here is my long range goal of maybe having like a, I don't know, 15 handicap, but I know I need to do some things to get there, right? Maybe I need to take some lessons. Maybe I need to get on the golf course more often. Maybe I need to play with tougher competitors, things like that would challenge me, enter some tournaments, things like that. That might be a longer term goal, but I can set these small goals for this year that I might want to do. What do you think about that, Damien?
That's a real good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that can be taken for granted and sometimes cannot be recognized. Continue education.
Mm-hmm.
And continue education. I know traditionally it's go to school, do a course, a certification, but you brought up a real good point. Being educated and taking a course because you want to change your handicap and work on your skill set for golf. Though that's still learning.
Right.
And I think as people, we need to kind of recognize those opportunities for continued education and pouring into our hobbies, our wellness topics, our extra skills, our hidden talents,
Mm-hmm.
to nourish our brain, our body, and also keep ourselves like calm, cool, relaxed, and centered. And even, Brenda Lee talks about it all the time, breathing,
Mm-hmm.
practicing breathing. That can be helpful when you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself. A 4 count, a 7 count, an 8 count, and practicing those things and taking time to just go and relaxing yourself when you're putting too much pressure on yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and working those skills is so important. So I like that you said that, and you brought that up, and you brought the visual aids to it too.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a teacher.
Definitely. I know. Guilty as charged. Absolutely. But I do think, when we are doing that, we've got to look at the big picture also, right? Of what we're wanting to achieve and what goals we want to have. And oftentimes it kind of brings me back. I'm going to use golf as another analogy. My husband is a really good golfer. He's just a great athlete. He's always been a good athlete. And but he plays probably 3 times a week. And so if you play 3 times a week, you've got a lot of time to practice, and he likes to compete at a high level. So he's got that competitive edge. And there's a lot of people that get frustrated when they play. And he's like, hey, you can't come out here once a month and think that you're going to be terrific. And so we have to think about that when we're setting our goals. That is with anything that we do. You can't just do your first live stream and think you're going to get 1 million people come and watch it. You can't write your first book and think you're going to have 1 million readers. Like, there are things that we have to do and steps that we have to take to get to the goals that we need. And so baby steps sometimes are the things that we have to do to get to those goals. So, and part of your resolution, I think it's fun. It's okay to make a resolution, but think about how you can put those actionable items into place for yourself, and, try some smaller steps at a time. So like right now, I have a weight loss goal of a number, but right now I'm just focusing on the next 5 pounds. And that's the next goal. And I started to put a time marker on it. My daughter, who's a personal trainer, said, don't do that. Don't put that pressure on yourself. Just focus on these next 5 pounds. And that's all you have to do. How do I get these next 5 pounds off? And so I think when we look at goals and things like that, then we're taking some of that pressure off of ourselves when we're setting those smaller, actionable goals that we can achieve.
It's good that you said that, and you kind of pushed it to a conversation, and one of the questions we wanted to bring up and talk about is that support system. You talked about your daughter being a personal trainer. You have a goal, focus on the 5 pounds. Don't focus overarching. You talked about your husband who is golfing 3 days a week, and somebody running into him and looking at him and like, I'm going to do that and I'm going to be good by next week. You can actually think it. It's just not, it might not happen.
Right.
You have the small portion of people who are just natural athletes and they're lucky and
Correct.
they can correlate and make everything like blend into it. But it takes practice, it takes patience, and it also takes support. It is so important when you're putting when you're putting pressure on yourself to have a support system where people can identify that you're doing too much. You might need a break. Even when you're, I remember when I was working out like 5 to 7 days a week. It was days where when I was at that last point, taking a break helped kind of trick my body into getting me over the threshold. But it took me a while to recognize the power of a break, making sure I had enough sleep and changing up some things. And it also took me reaching out to somebody and asking some questions. So
yes, I love that, right? We do. There are a lot of people who are experts in the fields, the things that we're interested in. And so take that moment, get to know them, ask some of those questions, and, really listen to what they have to say so that you can learn from them. I agree. That support system is big. And, if you are on a journey, let's say again, it's a weight loss journey, the people in your home need to know what your journey is. They need to be able to help support you. I will tell you another personal story. My husband came home with all of these sweets from a party that I didn't go to last weekend. And he put them on my counter and I was like, and then that's not even my tempting food. Like sweets are not my tempting food. We all know
Doritos.
Pizza and Doritos, right? And I'm like, honey, you can't, like, this isn't helping me, to have all these sweets on my counter. And so I put them in a paper bag and put them in the laundry room and said, they're in here, you can look at them and do that. And he was fine with that. But finding that support system for whatever your goal is, if it's a professional goal, finding that support system, maybe it's your teammates, maybe it's people in your class that you're taking for a certification. Who's your support system? Who can you talk to? Who's your mentor to really help you stay really focused on that? I think it's a really great one. Go ahead. Did you want to say something before I ask the next?
No, you could go ahead.
So I think this is another thing that we need to really think about is, so how do you practice self-compassion when you fall short of your goals? Maybe you don't meet your goal or you don't attain your goal. And how do you treat yourself after that? Got an idea, Damien?
I think it always starts with people be like, "Dad, you can see the positive in so many things." Like how you like Mr. Because I understand how much work it takes into completing any task.
Mm-hmm.
If you put together, let's say for instance, the goal was to let's say for instance, my goal was to lose 8 pounds, and I lost 6, and I'm like, "Dag, I didn't make my 2 pounds." I shouldn't be living in a space of frustration over 2 pounds. I should highlight and celebrate the 6 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
The work it took for the 6 pounds, the discipline that it took to accomplish that, the water that I drank, the hours of rest that I have, how my energy level, my ability, my breathing, and looking at all those things. But a lot of times we get lost in those 2 pounds. And for me, I think a great tip is to write down all the successes that you had accomplishing whatever the amount of percentage of what your goal was to get there. If your goal was to make $5 extra and you made $3.50, talk about all the journey and the work you did to make $3.50 extra. So
yeah, absolutely. And self-compassion, like, we shouldn't be beating ourselves up over anything, that we are really doing. Let's find a moment, reflect on it. Maybe we don't feel super great about it. You can sit in that feeling for a bit, but you can also change and say, what am I going to, change your brain? And am I going to continue with this goal? Is this important to me? Am I going to work on the next phase of it? Am I going to abandon the goal? And abandoning goals is okay to do too. Sometimes it's just really not part of your journey at this time in your life. And that's okay to say, I think I'm going to veer away from this goal and make a change. You have a right to do that, and still being compassionate with yourself. Sometimes we set goals and life gets in the way. And, big things. I mean, I just did a show with Dr. Qureshi, who's one of the 2350 Network members, and we talked about grief during the holidays, and if you are, and it was the masks that we wear during the holidays, and, things happen in people's lives, and that can kind of alter that goal that we have for the time being, and it may change the course of that goal. But we have to also have compassion with ourselves about those things and not beat ourselves up on that. And how do we continue on with it?
I think you brought up something else that I didn't take into account for, and I didn't even think about this conversation, which is good to kind of talk about. I know Jackie talked about it as well, and Dr. Q, and they do a great job of looking at the other side of it. Sometimes we try to accomplish stuff. We try to get a support system. We're putting pressure on ourselves to get things done and try to accomplish stuff. And then we get upset sometimes or disappointed that people haven't bought into what our journey and our goal is to kind of help support us through the process. But sometimes we forget that other people are going through something. Mm-hmm. Other people on their own journey, other people are dealing with stuff, especially around this time of, yearly change. You're going through all these holiday seasons of what the holiday season is all about is celebration. It's about family. It's about faith. It's about community, but it can also bring up a lot of grief and loss. Mm-hmm. And some of that time can be those things are putting pressure on yourself where, people are putting pressure on themselves that they feel like they're not living up to certain expectations from loved ones and other individuals who are no longer here. And I think that's so important to make space for and understand that, let me take a step back. Let me think about this and be like, okay, I may have forgot that this person is going through something at this time of year that is not what I'm physically going through. So be mindful of those things as well when you're trying to build your support system, that some people don't have time. They don't have the bandwidth, I would say, to be able to support you in the way you think you support them. You want the support, but it's not personal. They're just going through something. So I thank you for bringing up what Dr. Q was talking, who talks about grief, and Jackie did and talks about it too as well. So you can put pressure on yourself, and you can start putting pressure on other people for your dreams, and it may not be fair. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I just wanted to bring that up.
No, I agree. And it's so true that there's a lot of different things that can kind of alter, the goals, and then we put pressure on ourselves about them. And you're right. There's a lot of things that happen in life sometimes. So being, conscientious of those things. And I think the other thing too, that I really want to make sure that we talk about is, how do people measure what their success is? Not really measure, but how do they define what success really means for them? And so, I think when we really think about what our success is, and again, that's where I go back into that reflective piece, like going back into this and reflecting on these goals that I had. I know he keeps putting me up here, but the vision board is so important, to come back to, but reflecting on that, like, where am I at in this goal, in life, and looking at that, and what do I defining as success in here? And so, maybe it's 50% better eating, healthier eating, if the goal was to lose weight. And maybe I haven't lost the amount of pounds I wanted, but you know what? I'm eating a lot healthier. I'm putting a lot more inside my body that's nutritious for myself. Or I've learned a lot about nutrition and what are good things to put in my body. And so, maybe we look at that and how is that successful from this time last year to this year, What are some of the successes that we've had? So thinking about how you're measuring that. Again, career-wise, we're always someone's, climbing the ladder, the corporate ladder, or, trying a new goal. Maybe you're going to go from nursing into being a lawyer or something like that. Maybe you're not there yet, but what steps have you taken successfully? Where have you gone? Who have you met? Who have you been networking with? What circles have been open for you based upon the work that you're doing, or do you need to do something different? So looking at that success that you've already had doesn't always mean that it's the end goal. You can still look and say, this has been successful. Like, this has been a successful year for the 2350 Network, for the events that we've had, for our show. Like, these are successful things that you can look back on and say, this has been great. I've met so many amazing people, been able to put beautiful content out to people to help support them. So how are you measuring your success? So those of you in the audience, let us know, what are some things and how are you measuring that success for yourself?
That's a good point. How you measure success. If you don't know what the journey was, it's going to be hard how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And reflecting on it is so important. That's why they say year in reflections, taking a reflective space, taking a step back, and looking at things from a higher lens is so important as well.
I love that. Let's just pause there for a minute. Looking at something from a higher lens. Tell people exactly what does that mean?
So it's part of taking a step back. When you're in it, you can't see what's going on. Yes. But once you get out of it and take a step back and pause, you're able to see so many other things. You're able to see the positive, the negative, the things that are left on the table when you take a step back. Athletes talk about it all the time. When they're in their career, a lot of stuff is a blur to them. Some of the highlights that we look at and we kind of hold athletes accountable for their greatness, a lot of times they don't even remember them because they were so engulfed in it that they can't see it from us on space. So a lot of them sometimes sit back and start watching their old matches if they play tennis, their old games if they play football, and they watch it and they're able to see certain things, and then they're able to take a step back. Well, wow, I made that decision. It was a good play. It was great, but that was a bad way I did it, and I could have did this. And that's what a lot of times it is. It's about that instant replay, they call it. That, that film session. And a lot of it takes from taking a step back and seeing it from a bird's eye view.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And Jackie says that a little bit in her comment also, if you want to throw that back up there. We're programmed to focus on the bad that we've done. So even, I didn't make that goal, or this was a really terrible year, but was it really terrible? Were there some good points to bring out that were successful for you, or positive for you? And so really taking time to reflect is really a big piece of goal setting. And then looking at this time in my life when I was working on this was really pressureful. So I don't want to repeat that. If I still have that as a goal, what do I need to do to adjust? Because I don't want to repeat those feelings that I have for myself and how things are going. So I think that's really beneficial for people to do, is reflect, and think about things. Taking time to think and pause is really just such a high level order task, really, because like you said, when you're going through the motions, you're not really always thinking. You might be reacting or acting, and you're not really thinking about what the next step is all the time. So taking time to kind of back off a little bit and look at where you're at. Mm-hmm.
I like that. And it is so great that we're having this conversation, because we planned it one way and there's a lot of extra stuff. It's going in so many different directions, which is all about the healthiness of making sure that you are not putting too much pressure on yourself. And it's about being healthy. Like we have the virtual wellness experience. It's all about those opportunities where individuals can come together for 2 days on a virtual summit, experience, build relationships with each other, but can focus on that level of what the financial wellness is. What is your health and wellness, your mental wellness, your body, your professional wellness, and coming together for 2 days, to have this specific event is so important. Tickets are available at Creative Living Ideas, and you can go on the page. It's in the link as well, Creative Living Ideas. You can go, or you can just go to the summit link and get your tickets. It is at the early bird special, which is $75 until mid-January. I'm just going to be safe to say mid-January. We do have people who the day after the tickets are go to the regular price, who often come to us and say, hey, I missed the early bird special. We do have it out there always for at least a 3-month span. So get your tickets. It's a great holiday gift. It's 2 days. Get your employer to pay for it and join us at the virtual wellness experience. Hey, Leslie, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Leslie.
Leslie Flowers, happy birthday. Coming late from dinner. Hope it was a great birthday dinner.
Yes.
And enjoy yourself as well. Anything else about the virtual wellness experience before we ask our last question?
No, come and join us. That's all I want to say. Come join us. It's always a good time.
Okay. And if you have any questions about the virtual wellness experience, reach out to myself, Dr. Tanya Farron. You can go to Creative Living Ideas. I'll put it back in the chat so you can click on it, go to the page, and get your information, your tickets to the virtual wellness experience. All right. Do you want to pick the last question?
I like this. I like this one. What final thoughts or advice would you like to share with those who are feeling overwhelmed by New Year pressures? I would like to just say, I'll go ahead and go while you're thinking. So the advice that I would give would be to take some time and really reflect on what that one item is that is really causing you to feel pressured and overwhelmed, and really look at it and dissect it. Write it down on a piece of paper, write the pros and the cons if you want to do, list how your emotions are, how are you feeling about it, and then at the end, after you've done all of that and looked at it all, right, where do you want to go next with it? Is this something you want to abandon? Is this something that you want to modify and change? How do you want this to be? So take that time, reflect on that one item that is really causing you pressure. And decide what you're going to do about it. And I think it's okay to abandon things sometimes when they just are not speaking to you. It's not working out for you. It's okay to do. Yeah.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very good tip.
Thank you.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
See, even Alexa loves it.
She's always got to chime in on our conversations, doesn't she?
Yes. I would say this. It's your goal. It's your decision. It's your life. You set the tone and the table for what you want. And don't be too stuck in the fact that you plan something that you can't adjust. You always have the right to adjust, switch up, change, or abandon what is not serving you anymore. So
absolutely,
it's causing you pressure, and it might not be serving you.
Yeah. So just to kind of wrap things up for us too. So I know that you put in the chat that you and Jackie are doing your Monday edition of Wishful Wednesday this week. You want to talk about that for a minute?
So we are back tomorrow with Wishful Wednesday. Jackie asked me, we talked about it actually, and was like, hey, we haven't done Wishful Wednesday in a while. Would I come on a show? And I was like, yeah, I'll come on your show. So maybe we should do Wishful Wednesday, the Monday edition. Myself and Jackie kind of started with doing audio rooms. Finding Your Purpose was our first audio room that we did. It went well. We had a conversation. It was going so long to the point where we stopped it and we created Wishful Wednesday. Wishful Wednesday was the opportunity for individuals to come talk about their hopes, their wishes, their dreams, their joys. And we created a space where people can just come and have a talk and a conversation around it. So we have Wishful Wednesday coming up tomorrow, the Monday edition. So those people who have always supported myself and Jackie, join us at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Just Jack's, the Wishful Wednesday Monday edition. And also, if you know us, we started doing our first conversational piece on live, which was on Christmas. This will be our third Christmas doing it at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The flyer will come out later today. So join us for those things. Thank you, Dr. Fran, for bringing that up. And kind of wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. And then I'll be on Leah Garcia's show this Wednesday, December 24th at 12 p.m. Central Time. The topic is Interest in Kids, Daily Compound Deposits for Lifelong Returns. And so come in and check us out as I'll be talking about parenting. Those of you that know me know that I have a parenting book, Raising the Well-Adjusted Child, a Parent's Manual. And so I'm excited to be on that Leah Garcia's site on her live stream on Wednesday, the 24th. So check that out as well. So lots of great things happening. And then you can always join us at the 2350 network. So reach out to us if you have any questions about that as well.
Yeah, and drop the link to it in the chat for the event that you and Leah is doing. Okay.
I will do that. Yep. Yeah.
All right. So we are always at we got the end. You came up with it. Let's close with it.
I know. I do love closing with a quote. And so, oh gosh. And I always forget about this, that we do this part, but I want to say, I know it's funny, but I want to say, I just love my quote that I've always selected that I really try to live my life by is the be the change you wish to see in this world. And so if you are wanting things to be different, continue to be being the change, for the world.
All right. I got a new one for you. They say pressure busts pipes. Pressure can create stress and anxiety as well. Don't put undue pressure on yourself and stress yourself out. Live life and pivot.
I love that. Very cool. Yeah.
So this is our last show until the new year. And we would like to wish people a happy holiday, whatever you celebrate. Happy New Year, safe, happy New Year as well. And what do you want to say?
I do. I want to say happy holidays to everybody. I hope you enjoy the season in any way that you want the season to be.
I like that.
Thank you.
So, sorry.
He's producing back here. He's clicking buttons. So I get it. Thank you, everybody that joined us tonight. Leslie and Jackie, Jay, appreciate you so much. Nick, Linda Meyer, Jay, thank you. 2 different Jays that we had with us tonight. Thank you so much. Annie, Gregory, appreciate every person that took time out of their Sunday evening to be with us. Or Lisa Fevick, we are greatly appreciative of you. And again, have a great, start of your week or end of your week, however you're joining with us.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.